Right, welcome back everybody. So today we are talking about Outbreak Perfected for the final time. The reason being is that this week the final set of switches was made available to allow us to get the Headseeker perk. For those that are curious, the switches are near the jumping puzzle section when you're facing towards the city. I'll just play some sped up footage now for those of you that are wondering where to find the switches. So, with Headseeker being on the weapon, the main thing I really wanted to know was whether the nanites were able to proc the perk without you having to hit any body shots in the first place. So basically, could the nanites do it for you? Because theoretically, if this was the case, it would let you continue hitting headshots while your nanites procced Headseeker for you in the meantime. Unfortunately, this is actually fairly difficult to test because, as you know, with Outbreak, the more nanites you stack on a target, the more damage it ends up dealing anyway, so it's hard to know whether that increased damage comes from Headseeker or whether it comes from just the nanites behaving as they normally do, which does make it a little bit difficult to test. But before we get into the testing, what does Headseeker actually do? Well, according to D2 Foundry, it increases your precision multiplier by 0.1175. But what does this actually look like in-game? Okay, so if we look at it in-game, normally a headshot on this Legionary is 4,777. But if I hit a body shot first, so I'll just go onto another target here. If I hit a body shot first, it goes up to 5,129, which I believe is around a 7.4% increase, and I believe that perk also only lasts around 0.5 seconds. So in terms of general play, it is a fairly decent perk. It does give you that little extra edge if you're sort of missing your shots and then happen to hit a headshot afterwards, but that is very much a PvP thing. It would not really be that useful in PvE, though. Let's just get back to the testing to see whether it works with the nanites. So in terms of the testing that I actually did, I decided to take one version with Headseeker and another version with Outlaw with the same mag perk of extended mag, and just shooting it at Templar and just kind of seeing which one did more damage than the other. So I'll let the first test play now, which is just the Outlaw version. Just hitting all my shots. Okay, 313, 309. Now let's take a look at the damage of the Headseeker version. Difficult to know, really. As you can see, the Headseeker test is slightly higher, but that could also be down to Nanite RNG because it's never deterministic whether you'll spawn the same amount of nanites in the same given test. So for example, I could have spawned 2 nanites in the Outlaw test and 5 in the Headseeker test, which would have meant that I was doing more damage in the Headseeker test, which you could easily misinterpret that as the damage from Headseeker, but rather it was actually from the additional nanites that I spawned. So even though the damage is higher, it's very difficult to know whether that came from Headseeker. But assuming that it did, does this mean that it's technically the best option when it comes to damage? Unfortunately, it isn't. Even if we knew that that extra damage was 100% coming from Headseeker, this next fact will just completely nullify that. Essentially, if you guys remember last week, I did the same test with rewind rounds and it came out higher than Headseeker at around 369k. So just by default, even without messing with Headseeker at all, the rewind rounds test does do more damage, which overall just completely nullifies Headseeker in any meaningful capacity when it comes to actually using this weapon for damage. Because of this, I think it's definitely fair to say that Headseeker is far better suited to PvP despite the damage increase it provides. You simply cannot beat rewind rounds. Also, because Outbreak is now fully completed, I would like to leave a few recommendations on what you should get for this weapon so that you're ready for the final shape. My recommendation is to have one with rewind rounds and another with rapid hit. The rapid hit one is just for general use and the rewind rounds one is for emergency DPS in something like the day 1 raid scenario. You could just have one version and switch the perks whenever you needed to, depending on the activity that you were doing, but me personally, I will still be crafting 2 versions. If I had to order the available perks in a tier list, I would definitely say that rewind rounds is the best, then closely followed by rapid hit, then Headseeker, then Outlaw. Obviously, Outlaw was the original perk on the weapon, but it now has been far outclassed by the new perks. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this short video. I just wanted to provide a little bit of early information on Headseeker just to tell you guys whether it was worth obtaining or not, and unfortunately, it isn't really, because rewind rounds is just that much better. So yeah, thank you for watching watching the video, guys, and I will see you in the next one. If you made it this far, thank you so much. Your support means the world. And if you're really into the content I create, consider becoming a member of the channel, which not only lets you support me in the best way possible, it also nets you a whole host of awesome perks along with it. A massive shout out to these members up on screen, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now, dear viewer.